Hey everyone! There's one word that's been absolutely everywhere in crypto lately, and it's been buzzing for over a year now. I'm talking about the big T word here. No, not tokenization, though that's huge too. I'm talking about trillions. Yeah, you heard that right. We're not just talking about moving billions of dollars anymore. We're looking at the potential for trillions of dollars worth of assets moving into the crypto space. And honestly, it's not just potential anymore. It's becoming reality right before our eyes. Right now, sure, we're dealing with billions, but here's where it gets really exciting. Look at who's jumping in. We're seeing massive names entering the tokenization game, bringing tokenized funds and putting equities directly on blockchain. What does this tell us? Simple. Virtually every financial asset on the planet is heading on-chain. We're not talking about a small shift here, folks. This is a complete transformation of how finance works. And get this, I came across this incredible report from Real World Asset Watchlist. They're talking about how trillion-dollar giants like BlackRock, JP Morgan, and HSBC are saying tokenized assets have way more potential than stablecoins. And you know what? They're absolutely right. Think about it this way. Tokenized assets are where the real value lives. Stablecoins, they're basically the fuel that makes everything work. They're the liquidity that lets you buy, sell, and trade those assets. Stablecoins are massive players, but they're supporting the real stars of the show. These financial giants see yield-bearing real-world assets as the next evolution of global finance. Translation? RWA season is officially here, and it's just getting started. Now, we're going to keep seeing even bigger names than BlackRock, JP Morgan, and HSBC jumping into this space. You might be thinking, wait, what names could possibly be bigger than those? Well, here's the thing. A lot of them are already here. We've got Swift, we've got DTCC, and we have major players pushing derivatives. And here's where your mind should be blown. These aren't valued in tens of trillions. We're talking hundreds of trillions of dollars. The tokenization space is about to absolutely explode over the next 12 to 24 months. This train isn't slowing down. If anything, it's picking up speed. And here's the best part. The blockchain networks that host these tokenized assets, they're going to see massive increases in value and volume flowing through them constantly. What does that mean? Way higher demand for the underlying gas tokens that power these networks. I want to show you something that really drives this home. This clip is from Yahoo Finance, and the numbers are staggering. The RWA market is set to grow from $600 billion to $18.9 trillion. Let me say that again. $600 billion to $18.9 trillion. This isn't just some narrative people are pushing anymore. This is a fundamental infrastructure shift happening in real time. Companies like IXS are building the bridges for institutions to move on-chain. Now, the specific company doesn't matter as much as what this represents. The narrative has completely shifted in a massive way. We're not sitting around wondering if tokenization will reach trillions anymore. The question isn't if, it's when and how fast. The writing is on the wall, folks. Tokenization is happening, and it's happening at a scale that's going to reshape the entire financial world as we know it. It's just a matter of time now. But here's something we need to talk about first, and this is crucial for everyone watching. Crypto exchanges are not safe, and I don't care how big they are. Just look at Bybit, the fourth largest crypto exchange by trading volume. Back in February, they got hit with one of the largest crypto hacks in history. We're talking $1.4 billion stolen, gone, just like that. And if you look at the top 10 crypto hacks in history, guess what? Most of them happened to major exchanges. The big names, the ones we thought we could trust. So where do we store our crypto if not on exchanges? Cold storage devices, folks. That's your safest bet outside of keeping everything offline.
This is a big market. Just to show you what one study shows is that real world assets, the market cap for real world assets is expected to go from 600 billion this year to about 19 trillion in 2033. And we're not just talking about equities. We're also, of course, talking about bonds, gold, real estate, any type of real world asset that you can think of.
But listen, despite these risks, this shift we're seeing is absolutely massive. We're watching some of the biggest asset classes in the world start moving on-chain. And this is where the real story begins. This is where we finally get to see the big picture of what crypto is really about. Here's the thing. Everything that's happened in crypto up until this point, it didn't really matter. All those valuations, all the bull runs, the brutal bear markets, that was all just noise. What's happening now? This is crypto's big breaking point. Think of this as the social media moment for crypto. Just like social media completely transformed the internet, tokenization is about to transform finance. This is where the largest institutional players and enterprise companies finally enter, bringing their massive user bases with them. This is where we see true mass adoption. This is where we see the absolutely insane amounts of money that these institutional players control finally moving on-chain. And Securitize just put out a post that really drives this home. They're saying the upside of tokenization is truly limitless. Check out these numbers. They show just how tiny the tokenized market still is compared to traditional finance. On the tokenized side, we have stablecoins worth $300 billion. Sounds big, right? Well, there's $2.4 trillion in US dollars actually circulating. We're barely scratching the surface. Tokenized treasuries, $8.5 billion. The actual US Treasury market, $28.3 trillion. And these are just two areas. We haven't even talked about equities, real estate, derivatives, massive markets that are also heading on-chain. People are seriously underestimating how big tokenization is going to be, but they're also underestimating the ripple effect this will have on the entire market. Here's what most people get wrong about tokenization. They see these huge valuations being thrown around and think, okay, so the crypto market cap will just reach that value, right? Wrong. The crypto market cap will be multiplied by how much tokenized value enters the space. Why? Because tokenized assets won't just sit there. They'll be moving 24/7, 365 days a year. And that constant volume, that's the real price driver for these networks. All that activity will drive up demand for the underlying gas tokens, which severely impacts market cap across the board. So when people talk about $18 trillion in tokenized assets by 2033, you need to multiply that impact on crypto market caps. We're not talking about a one-to-one relationship here. And here's the cherry on top. Regulators are giving this space a clear green light. As CFTC acting chairman Caroline Pham said, "The public has spoken. Tokenized markets are here and they are the future." Her speech at the FIA Expo made their message crystal clear. Listen to this. Tokenization isn't some speculative trend that might fizzle out. This is a structural upgrade to US market infrastructure. We're talking about a complete shift towards real-time collateral mobility, blockchain-enabled settlements, and a totally modernized market architecture built for speed and resilience. When you have regulators and institutional players both telling you that tokenization is the future, this thing that's going to reshape finance forever, you absolutely have to listen. And speaking of listening, let's talk about Larry Fink from BlackRock. This guy said something that should make everyone pay attention. Tokenization is probably the most important component in the evolution of the world's financial plumbing. Financial plumbing. That's the key phrase right there, folks. The entire plumbing system that runs finance is changing. Think about it. Our current financial system is incredibly outdated. It's old, slow, and clunky. But now we're watching everything change in real time. The plumbing is shifting to a completely digital-based system, and it's happening fast.
The opportunity for tokenization is probably the most important component of how we are going to see the evolution of the financial plumbing of the world. And the reality is, if we could tokenize all our ETFs, all $5.3 trillion of our ETFs, and provide that in a digital wallet, you could seamlessly, without fees, going from a digital currency or a stable coin or whatever that may be in your digital wallet and buy bond or stocks. And I believe that is going to be the future.
But it's not just Larry Fink saying this. Jane Fraser, CEO of Citi, put it perfectly. Tokenization digitizes the entire market.
Look, it comes back to what does a client need? So a client wants to move money around the world instantaneously, 24/7, 365 days a year, safely and without hassle and complexity. And that's what tokenization does. Tokenization digitizes entire markets. And we've been working in really making sure that we can serve that use case from the clients. So I'm really excited about the movement that you can see in payments. I think tokenization best serves the client's use case.
And here's what makes this so powerful. These aren't crypto natives trying to pump their bags. These are some of the most established traditional finance players on the planet. When Larry Fink and Jane Fraser are saying this stuff, you need to listen. But wait, there's more. HSBC just dropped some major news. They're rolling out tokenized deposits for corporate clients in the US and UAE in the first half of 2026. We're talking about 24/7 instant transfers as banks choose tokenization over stablecoins. This is huge confirmation of everything we've been talking about. Now, with all this confirmation, what does this mean for Ripple? What does it mean for XRP? Well, here's where it gets really interesting. HSBC partnered up with Ripple Custody back in 2023. It was called Metaco then, but it's now rebranded as Ripple Custody. And guess what it focuses on? Tokenized securities. But that's just the beginning. Ripple is already tokenizing like crazy on the XRP ledger through some massive initiatives. They're working with Open Eden on treasury bills. They're involved in Dubai land tokenization. We're talking fully tokenized real estate in the UAE through the PropGo Mint platform. This is basically the first tokenized real estate project in the region. Guggenheim Treasury Services used Ripple's technology platform to issue digital commercial paper directly on the XRP ledger. Mercado Bitcoin is expanding global access by tokenizing $200 million in unregulated financial assets on the XRP ledger. And Ondo is bringing 24/7 access to tokenized US treasuries on the XRP ledger. Even today, if you look at the XRP ledger right now, there are over 47 real-world assets already tied to it. Ripple is clearly pushing hard for institutional adoption of the XRP ledger through major tokenization initiatives. They're going all in on this space. And this takes me back to HSBC and all these other massive institutional players lining up for tokenization use cases. I can't help but think that when these major announcements start dropping, when these big players start making their tokenization moves official, it's going to massively reinforce networks like XRP. Because here's the thing, Ripple already has a complete all-in-one platform built around the XRP ledger and XRP itself. They're not scrambling to build this stuff from scratch. They're ready to go. And we've been watching tokenized value flowing upward across multiple networks for a while now, including the XRP ledger. With all the regulatory clarity we're seeing, and all these bills being passed to encourage even more institutional players to jump in, I honestly think 2026 is going to be an absolutely incredible year for adoption and major developments in the tokenized market. But here's what blows my mind. There are still people sitting on the fence about whether crypto is really the future. They're still questioning if crypto is going to be as massive as players like myself are saying. Guys, it's actually pretty simple when you just look at what's being said and what's happening right in front of us. When you have BlackRock, JP Morgan, and HSBC all saying that tokenized assets have way more potential than stablecoins, and then regulators are backing that up, that should tell you everything. When Larry Fink is talking about how tokenization is going to completely reshape the world's financial plumbing, at the exact same time that Citi is explaining why tokenization is a better way to move value globally, come on. It's time to take a step back and realize this is not some kind of joke. This isn't some nice dream that we're hoping might happen someday. This is actually happening right now in real time. And here's the key. These aren't crypto native players trying to pump their bags. These aren't Ripple or Coinbase telling us what they think the future should be. These are some of the oldest, most established banks and asset management companies on the planet telling us, hey, this is happening, whether you like it or not. Even the regulators, when regulators are saying tokenized markets are here and they are the future, that's when you really need to wake up and pay attention. Because think about it. It's one thing for institutional players to push their tokenization products. They have something to sell, right? But regulators? They have absolutely nothing to gain from this. When they're telling us tokenized markets are the future, that's a massive green light across the board for what's coming in crypto. And honestly, I'm incredibly excited about this. These institutional players are now racing against the clock to tokenize specific assets and make major announcements around tokenization. HSBC rolling out tokenized deposits? That's huge. And I really think this could circle back to Ripple custody being a major player in all of this. We'll have to see how it plays out, but the future looks incredibly bright for tokenization. Here's the bottom line. If tokenization is going to grow at this rapid pace, with massive amounts of value moving 24/7, 365 days a year on public blockchains, those blockchains are going to make their underlying assets extremely valuable. I think you can connect the dots on what I'm talking about here. It's all about network effects, but on a scale we've never seen before. So, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed diving into this tokenization revolution with me. If you found this valuable, definitely smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn those notifications on so you don't miss any of these massive developments as they unfold.